open for three. Dagger!
Hello, and welcome back to Well Beyond the Arc. If you are watching this, yes, it is playoff time. Well, play-in time, but right after that is playoff time. All we know is it's the postseason, and I am so glad we're here. We were just talking before we went on air how it's been a whirlwind of a season, and we were just discussing the JJ Redick pickup. It feels like it was just yesterday, and now we're here with Luka, of all people, and now we're here round one, ready to go. So what I will say, first of all, is welcome back to Well Beyond the Arc. If this is your first time watching us, welcome. If you're coming back, welcome back. I am Coach H, and this is my co-host, David. David, before we get into basketball, how are you doing this week, bro?
I'm very good. Kind of rainy out here, but we're good. We're loving it. Windy also, but it doesn't change the mood. It's playoff time. Let's get on with it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Nothing can change the mood because it's time to go. We're going to talk round one. We're going to talk playing, but before we talk that, we're going to go good, bad, and ugly like we always do. Starting off with my good, it's got to be OKC. I'd be crazy to say anything other than OKC. Again, I'm incorrect sometimes, a lot of times actually, but if I saw this correctly, they finished 16 games ahead of second place, and I cannot remember a team finishing that far ahead of a team. I don't know when the last time it's been, because again, we talked about this last show. Even when the Warriors had their record, the Spurs had 67, 68 wins. And a couple other teams had 60 plus wins as well. This is the largest differential I think we have seen in a long time. And I want to say maybe ever. Maybe we've seen this many games apart, but this team is the most well-built team. Despite their one loss to the Lakers, I'd say that's their most notable loss of the whole season, possibly. They've lost other games, but that was the one game where people were like, wait, but still, they're that team, 16 games ahead. I cannot remember a team getting over 65 wins since that record season. Maybe I'm incorrect when the Warriors had 70 plus and then a team had 60. Maybe another team has had 65 plus, but I feel like 68 is the highest record since that season, possibly. Again, I should have looked this up so I knew for sure, but all I know is OKC is impressive, and I'm just glad we don't play them round one. So that's got to be my good. David, what are you thinking this week for good, bad, and ugly?
Yeah, that's a solid shout because, other than the fact that they finished with 60 wins, shout out to them for finishing with the best point differential in the league. I can't remember if that's best ever in the league in terms of over like the league since start, or like I don't know how far back this goes because I didn't do my research that well. But that obviously wasn't my good. My good has to be, obviously we all know the chatter around the league about how throughout the course of the season there were a lot of chatter about how the NBA products might have been trash, or why people don't watch the NBA that much, and this and that and this and that. But shout out to the Clippers and the Warriors for giving an all-time game in the final game finale of the season. I don't know how Adam Silver did it or what the NBA gods did, but for that game to be the last game of the season, and it actually ended as the last game of the regular season. Like, that was how good it was. Like, James Harden hitting a three to set overtime. Like, if that isn't good for the NBA product overall, there have been so many storylines that have helped the NBA and its product this season. But like that particular one with the West, obviously, knowing that whoever won that game either finishes sixth, or you know all the permutations. If you don't know, well, go check it out. But we all know the permutations that was going on with that game. But for it to end the way it did, and obviously Clippers came out on top in that one, sending Warriors who were surging, like they were surging hot. But I just had to shout out for an amazing product that I don't know who will take the credit for it. Maybe Adam Silver, who knows? But amazing.
Good shout. Love your good, because honestly, that game was an all-time game. That might have been one of the best games of the season. And like you said, what a good time, because ratings have been low. Playoff ratings have been low. Why not make it exciting? And talk about all the everything that was stacked up until the last day was crazy, and it was exciting, and it was the Wild West. You didn't see that in the East, that's for sure. That wasn't something you saw in the East shaping up. So not giving hate to the East, but definitely the West was the Wild West to a far extent this season, maybe more than it's even been before. So it was super exciting to watch that shape up. thank the Lord the Lakers finished where they did. I'm really glad everyone finished where they did. It really set up for a really exciting round one. So really good. And obviously we will see the Clippers and the Warriors starting today. We'll see I believe the Warriors is today the Warriors play.
Warriors Memphis, yes.
And
That's
we'll
seven
get into
seven
that in a
eight
little bit. That's going to
seven
be
eight game.
That's a great way to start. How about that? That's one of the. Is that the first one?
No, the Magic Atlanta. You know the East Coast. They always have to take the
No, that's
first
a good way
games
to start
because of
Hawks
time.
Magic will be a good game. So we'll get into all of that. Moving on to bad. It's got to be with the Grizzlies. I talked about them last week. I'm not going to talk about them in as much detail. I'm just going to say finishing 8th after where they were for a majority of this season and going 4-6 in their last 10. It's just a bad place to finish up. We'll talk about the plan in a little bit, but I'm going to give a spoiler. I don't see them making it out of the plan just because of a number of factors. But we'll talk about that later. But yeah, my bad has to be the Grizzlies, the way they finished the season, because we've seen teams fall off. We've seen teams have a halting stop where their season just stops, and that's where it stops. Even if they make the postseason, they're not going to make it very far. But for me, the Grizzlies just had that halt at the worst possible spot of the season and with the worst possible circumstance with that coach firing, no matter what the circumstances are behind that. So for me, the bad has to be the Grizzlies because they finished with, I think, some of the worst momentum of a team in the postseason. Obviously, teams that didn't even touch the postseason, didn't even sniff the postseason, way worse momentum. But I mean, I think the Grizzlies have some of the worst momentum going into the post. So that's my bad. What are you thinking for bad this week?
I'm going to combine my bad and my ugly together.
There we go.
It has to be the Phoenix
ever on
Suns.
this show, by the way.
It has to be Phoenix Suns because first off, bad sacking. Oh no, I think I don't even know which is worse. The fact that they sacked, whatever his name is, Budenholzer, or the fact that reports came out and he wasn't, with the franchise player, he wasn't like meshing with the franchise player, or the fact that they were eliminated from playoffs. I don't know which is worse on a team having KD, Booker, and Bradley Beal. I don't know which is worse, to be honest. So that's why I combined it ugly, bad and ugly together, because that franchise is just in turmoil. I don't know what it is. And I actually think it started with, what do you call it? That with the KD trade news during the trade period about how they want to trade KD. I think that's kind of where it started from. And it's just been downhill quickly. Downhill. Because I remember they were second in the West for like a good part of the season. I think it was Warriors, then the Suns, and then every other person kind of followed, trickled down. But they have just been since then. So that would be my good, my ugly, and my bad, or my bad and my ugly together. They're just in turmoil. Words can't describe them. Ugly to maybe too small, bad, very, very small for what the Phoenix Suns are going through. So
they say great minds think alike, and I think they might be right because that's my ugly. Suns prematurely firing a head coach, a high-level head coach. We've seen that before.
3 head coaches in 4 years. Like they have fired head coaches back to back to back.
That is a terrible cycle. And honestly, the Lakers weren't quite in that same cycle, and they weren't high. I mean, Darvin Ham was not a high-level coach like any of the last coaches that the Suns have had. But teams that are being a Lakers fan, when you're in a cycle of firing coaches, there's other problems going on. The problem usually doesn't lie at the coach's feet. It's usually below. So for me, or above. So for me, it's a bad cycle. I do believe the Suns can get out of it. I think one way is moving on from KD, and not just KD, but a lot of their roster. I think obviously Booker should stay. I think Booker will stay, but I think we'll see a different Suns team for the better. But yeah, that's my ugly because they're in an ugly cycle and they're continuing that cycle. I was really hoping that they wouldn't continue that cycle. Give Bud another season with a slightly different roster and just a different mindset possibly. And I'm not saying that it was perfect because we definitely saw some disconnect from the players and to him and everything. So maybe they looked at that more than the record and more than anything else was just the disconnect that you could see on the court. But I don't know. I would not have fired him so prematurely, and it just continues a cycle that they have been on. So we're going to leave it at that because it's bad and the ugly, and it's my ugly for sure. So, good, bad, and ugly. Let us know in the comments if there's anything you think it should be in our good, bad, and ugly, or if there's another segment you want us to cover, anything else covering anything NBA. We'll always be happy to do that. Moving on, we're talking plan because obviously it's the postseason. That is the first part of the postseason. Mixed reviews to the plan. I did not like it at first. Now I do. I will be honest. When it first was added, I was like, this is a waste of time. This is terrible. And the Lakers were in it a few many 2 times in a row, and just a few many 2 times for me to enjoy it that much. But I do enjoy it. I do think it makes it a little more exciting, and it kind of makes. I think before we saw teams, I don't want to say slack in the end of the season, but we definitely saw teams lock up those positions of 7 and 8, and then it kind of the rest of the season, I would say, didn't matter. So it kind of gives a little bit more meaning to the season to me, and so it makes it more exciting. That would be the thing I like most. I do have some things I don't like. Looking at the first game, it's Magic versus Hawks. Here's what I'm going to say. I think these are two decently evenly matched teams when everyone is healthy, when everyone is playing. I think that the Magic, though, they've had their moments. We saw them early in the season kind of look like a team that was going to be special. They've done that a few times, either early or late in the season, and they've snuck their way into the postseason several times. They are a team that has been sneaky. I want to see them make more of a statement in the postseason. I don't think that's going to be this season, but give me Magic over the Hawks. Give me a close game that's hard fought, but give me Magic over the Hawks. I think the Magic get them in that first game. What are your thoughts on this first game of the play-in?
This would be a tough one because they are both good teams, but they're also good. Yeah. Oh, let's put it like this: one is good defensively, which is the Magic, and then the other is good really offensively. Obviously, bear in mind they have Trae Young, obviously. With that being said, who would I want facing who do you play? The second, wherever you play. Who would I want either facing the Cavs or the Celtics? I think this is a close one because I think they are both fitted on a good day. When both teams come to play on a good day, they can be electrified on a good day. So as much as I would like to agree and say Hawks easy, I will go with Hawks, but I don't think it'll be easy. I think it'll be a good game to watch. Obviously, I don't really like watching the East play ball. To be honest, when it's East against East, I don't really like watching that much. But I still go with the Hawks, and I will definitely keep my eye on this game because I think it will be entertaining. But I think the Hawks will go as the 7th seed, and I still stand on business by saying I can't remember if this is what I said last time, but Hawks 7th seed, Magic 8th seed, because they will go and then beat the other guys when they go play the winner of those 2 games. So yeah, I think I will keep it.
And I'm with you. I just have it flipped. I just have Hawks 8, Magic 7. Bulls and who even else is it? Bulls and Heat. I will say the Bulls have been a team that have had some surprising games and some surprising wins, but I don't think they can beat the Hawks. I really don't, especially in a postseason scenario. So I think the Hawks are 8. I think the Heat are 7. But again, we just have that opinion flipped. Second game for the West first game for the West, excuse me, second game today is Warriors versus Grizzlies. Grizzlies are down on their luck. The Warriors are the exact opposite. Give me the Warriors. I don't want to say it's going to be a blowout, but I do think they're going to win by 8 to 12 to maybe even 16 points. Give me a close game in the beginning, but I think the Warriors you're not going to see a Clippers-Warriors ending because honestly, the Grizzlies are not the same team. The Clippers definitely played a very high level of ball that day, and they've played some level of ball that would not have beat that Warriors team that day. But I think the Grizzlies are just a few steps below that Clippers team. I'm not trying to compare teams, but I just think the Warriors come out guns blazing. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think we're going to see a really close first half, and then I think we'll see that Warriors team take over second half. So give me Warriors winning by a few points for sure. I think it's going to be a decently I don't want to say an easy win, but they're going to make a statement, I think, for sure. After losing that game to the Clippers, I think they're going to come out and make a statement because they were playing statement ball. Even in the game against the Clippers, they played statement ball, even with it being a loss. So,
yeah, I definitely agree. I think it would be so much better if the Warriors go on. Obviously, I'm still going with the Warriors. I will talk to Memphis why in a minute. But I think it would be so much better for the NBA if Memphis go play Rockets will sweep them. If they go play OKC, OKC will sweep them. So let's have a competitive series. I can't know exactly. The reason why I say either or is because I don't really know the exact matchup of who plays who. But I will say this: we all know the history between these two teams, dating back to I think 2022, 2021, something along those lines. Or sorry, even before 2020, even for Iguodala, when Iguodala was in Memphis and he asked for a
Mhm.
trade, we all know the story behind that. So I think it will be a fun matchup. Again, I do have the Warriors winning. Would it be a blowout? Maybe. Maybe. I don't want it to be. I don't know. I don't want it to be a blowout. I want it to be a good game, a good entertaining game. Like, don't kill my Tuesday, please. Don't make the game end by the middle of the fourth quarter, please. Like, it's Tuesday nights. I'm already
Or no,
mentally checked out.
come on.
So keep me in it. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
bro,
Warriors. But and
I think
then
it'll be
if we all
entertaining.
yeah. And then if you obviously I don't think they'll make it even past the playing. So I don't want them to play any of the because they'll just blow them out. I even prefer Kings playing whoever Kings or Dallas is a stretch.
Well,
But you
speaking
get
of
what I'm
Mavs
saying.
Kings, speaking of Mavs Kings, we've got to talk about it. If this was a full strength Mavs team, they wouldn't even be in the plan. I think they'd be a fifth or sixth seed, honestly. Maybe they'd be a seventh seed still, but I don't think it'd be a scenario that they're in right now. Uh, do they have a chance against the Kings? Absolutely. They outsized the Kings, but I'm going to be honest. Anthony Davis is very hot and cold when he comes back from injuries, and we've seen that.
Oh,
He's had some big games. He had a
oh.
7 block game, but he's had some like low rebound games. He's had some no block games. And does he have to get a block every game? No, but he's known for being very useful and very aggressive on both sides of the ball. And when he comes back from an injury, as a Lakers fan, I'm saying this, and I love Anthony Davis. He's a huge part of that championship. No matter what you say about our championship in 2020, he's a huge part of that. We do not win that without Anthony Davis. 100%, I would say that is the truth. So for me, he's a great player, but when he comes back from injuries, he's very hot and cold. Could he have an all-time game? 100%. I don't see that. I see the Kings figuring it out. I think we're looking at another close game. I think this will be closer than the Grizzlies and the Warriors. I think we'll see a game that maybe pushes it into OT, and whatever it is, I think it's separated by under 10. I think we see the Kings win by like 6 to 8 points, and then give me the Kings beating the who is it? The Grizzlies. Give me the Kings
Grizzlies.
beating the Grizzlies and becoming that 8th seed. I can definitely see that happening for sure. I mean, I don't want to say for sure. I can't predict the future, but I think, and we know some of my takes are the exact opposite of predicting the future. But yeah, give me the Kings beating the Mavs and then becoming that 8th seed. What are your thoughts? Do you think that happens, or do the Mavs have a shot to have some life in this postseason?
It's kind of sketchy though. It's kind of sketchy because I don't think any of other than the Warriors, all the teams in the plane, I mean, anything can happen on any given night, so I don't want to say. But like on paper, I don't think any of these teams can compete with OKC or Rockets other than the Warriors. Because Warriors will end up going to play the Rockets, and whoever wins between Kings will then play Memphis, and whoever that goes to play OKC, and I have OKC winning that easy peasy. But with that being said, I do think I do fancy the Kings. I think low key since that trade, the Kings have kind of been slept on to a degree. I think no one really talks about them. Really, I think they are slept on. But AD, because and I won't also be surprised if Dallas go all the way too, because AD can just decide to play back-to-back games with monster numbers. But I agree with your point. I love AD too, like so much, and it was sad. I'm not gonna be wrong. This Lakers, I was happy that he didn't come out, but like those are type of games you expect him to dominate. Like you know what I mean? Lakers have no big man dominate that game, but he did. So it was kind of sad, and then he goes on next game and does what he did. So it's kind of a weird one for AD, but. I won't be surprised if Dallas goes on a run and does magic in terms of making it to the playoffs. But I fancy the Kings more.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Definitely agree. We'll see what happens. Pats fan, I don't agree that AD is washed. Um, he's one of the most well, like overall built players on both sides of the ball in the league. It's just health is definitely a factor, but that's been since college. You look back at college, you look back at his college career, that's since college. So it's not like
Mhm.
it's he's washed and injuries have just started. But moving on, we're going to talk. Do any of these play-in teams we've just talked about have a chance to make it past the first round? I'm going to keep it simple and say that I only have two teams possibly making it past the first round. Well, not even possibly. Warriors are making it past the first round. Um, Warriors are definitely beating the Rockets, I would say. I can see now what I will say is this: it's not a blowout. It's not a 4-game series. It's a 6-game series, and it's very reminiscent of Keene's
Six
Warriors a
game.
few years ago when the Warriors won the Kings
Mm,
kept it close. They won
mm.
the first game or the first two possibly, and then the Warriors ended up winning. And the Warriors, in my opinion, have a better team than that year. So I think the Warriors are the team within this plan that can beat Houston. If there's a team that can beat Houston, it's the Warriors. And it's a lot of it is, I mean, they have a very high level of vet leadership on their team, and adding Jimmy Butler added that because teams that Jimmy Butler goes to win. And you see teams that he goes to and then lose after he leaves. Very reminiscent. I'm not saying he's like LeBron, like player wise, but that's a player that goes to a team, makes them better, leaves, and you see the difference when they leave. That's Jimmy Butler. So I think that the Warriors are the team that will make it to round two. We're not going to talk round two today, but I'm going to be honest. If we're talking predictions, I think that's where their season ends and their postseason ends is in round two. But I think the Warriors make it to round two. And then in the East, this is a take that you're probably going to be like, that's an awful take. And it's okay if you say that because just wait till it happens. Of all the takes I've made on this show that have been off, this is I've got a feeling about this one. Hawks are the 8th seed, and they beat a Cavs team that I will be honest, I thought the Celtics would creep up and get that 1 seed. They didn't quite do it. They did close the gap. I don't want to say drastically because the gap was nowhere near as far as it was in the West, but there was a gap that was lowered by the Celtics, both in numbers and in play style and like play level. So for me, I think it's a 7-game series that the Hawks win and go to the second round. I think that's where their season ends, but I think they go to the second round. Give me Trey, because Trae Young is one of the best postseason players we have seen in with clutchness. He is clutch. We have seen him beat teams before that he was not supposed to beat. So give me him doing that again. And that is a take that, you know what? I think it is up there with me saying the 76ers were going to turn their season around and then they did the exact opposite. But it might be a little bit below that. I think this one has a little more validity. So, David, what do you think? Who's going to the second round? Any of these teams or none of them? The Hawks, right?
I can see the Hawks one because the Hawks did in the regular season they did do the whatever was it back to back on they did the back to back on what they call it on the Cavs. So I
Mhm.
can see the Hawks. I can see the Hawks going to doing stunning the NBA world and beating the Cavs. Really, I can
Okay.
see
That's
that.
fine.
So I do I don't think it's crazy as take. I think uh, about 35% of people will agree. You know. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good.
The Warriors. I do fancy the Warriors going in past the second round because let's set it up. Let's set it up. I think the Warriors are 100%. But other than that, no. Any other team, no, it's not even no. Celtics 100% will take care of business, stand on business. OKC will never even think twice. Done.
Yeah, no. No. Which speaking of that, I mean that's
Now,
oh,
wait.
oh,
Hear me out. Hear me out. If the Warriors do lose this game to the Memphis, and I'm saying if, strong if, lose this game to Memphis, and they end up going to play that, losers bracket, and then they go and end up playing the OKC.
You know what? We need to talk about that for a second because
That might
that
be potential right
it's a
there.
series. I think it's a series. I think it's a 7-game series, honestly. I really think it's a shot for shot back to back series. I think Curry now we need to talk about Curry because we've seen him show up in the playoffs. We've also seen him disappear. We've seen every player do that. Let's be honest. We've seen LeBron do that. We have seen every player have those moments, even if they were the greatest at something or considered the greatest of all time or the second greatest, whatever you want to say. But I think Curry wants to be considered the best point guard in the league. I think obviously he's considered the best shooter. So I think we see a legendary matchup, SGA, Steph. I think we see Jimmy Butler show up. I think we see Draymond Green be absolutely ridiculous and probably be his regular self that can be really beneficial during the playoffs. I think we see a 6 or 7 game series. So I like that. Um, my only thing against that is I just cannot see the Warriors losing to the Grizzlies, but also there is a universe where the Grizzlies are a team and they do have a lot of players from other seasons when they've made somewhat deep or at least made it to the playoffs. They have something and they could in any given night possibly give you a game where they're close and where they even close in and win. So I like your point. I honestly, as an NBA fan, selfishly, the round one I would want would be Warriors OKC because that's the only one that's like exciting. Any other one, which we're going to talk about that right now, it's a good segue. Any other one is quick. So speaking of that, if it goes as we think, we're going to break it down. OKC Kings, that's a 4 or 5 game series for OKC. OKC takes care of business.
Best five.
5. I think 5 is fair because I can see the Kings getting 1. They're a team that can push it. I think the Kings could even get the first game, maybe. Maybe give me the Kings game 1 or game 2, and then I think OKC closes it out. Rockets, Warriors in 5. I also think the Rockets could get 1, maybe 6. Like give me 5 or 6 because again, I can see it being like the Kings series, and that was a series where it was like a back and forth series until the Warriors like assumed control and closed it out. And I see this being the same type of series. Do you think if it's Rockets, Warriors win it, or do you think the Rockets have a chance?
No, I think it's a good game. I would think the Warriors will. I agree with your King's point. I think experience would just be overshadowing, and literally the Warriors will just get stand on business. So I agree that. I mean, I won't be shocked if the Rockets end up handling their business, but I'm still leaning more towards. I still fancy the Warriors to get business done.
Definitely. I think, but again, that series could be exciting. It'll be one to tune into.
Yeah.
Looking at our boys, Lakers, T-Wolves.
Lakers
I'm going to be
6.
honest. 6, boom. I'm glad you're on the same boat because if we were playing the Grizzlies, I could say 5. That might be the only team I would give us in 5. Nuggets, I wouldn't give us in 5. Clippers, I wouldn't even give us in 5. So for me, it's T-Wolves and it's T-Wolves and we take them in 6. What I will say is the T-Wolves are not the same team as they were last year. If they had the team they had last year, we're talking a 7-game series, and it's a toss-up where maybe the T-Wolves take it. I still could give it to the Lakers if they were playing the T-Wolves last year, like this team playing it. But I just think it would be a better series. The Timberwolves definitely broke up a really good system and a really good thing, and I think they're not going to be the same team, and they're not going to make it past the first round. But they do have one of the best players right now in the league in Anthony Edwards, who is different in the postseason, and him and Luka have history in the postseason, and him and LeBron, I mean, he definitely wants to give it to the Lakers and beat them and have another run with the team they have now. And they have momentum. I mean, but they don't have the same team they had last year, and they don't have the same depth, and they don't have the same ability, in my opinion, to go very far. So for me, it's Lakers in 6, but it's an exciting series that goes back and forth. I could even see that the T-Wolves getting game 1. Honestly, I don't think that happens, but I could even see them being really out there and really ready to go and having a really big statement game. If not game 1, give me game 2. They have a statement game. I just think they're going to come out playing really good basketball, and I'm excited to see it. As a Lakers fan, as a fan of the NBA, now I would have loved to have a game in 5, have a series in 5 games, and just have a series where we're in and out, and that's it. And we've made it known that we're here, but it's also good to have some battle-tested games, and I think this will be a lot of battle testing. So Lakers in 6, I think we can both agree that it'll be a good series. Could the T-Wolves, on the flip side, could the T-Wolves take it? Yeah, they could, honestly. On the flip side, again, the Lakers are playing a level of basketball on both sides of the ball that we have not seen since their championship season. Their championship season with Vogel before the bubble. Take the bubble out because people like to discredit the bubble. I've already said that this episode. That's my last time saying it. But they do like to discredit it. before the bubble, we had the best team in the NBA, I would say by far, at least in the West, and I would say by far a 60 plus, I believe a 60, but I think it was a 61 win team or something like that. So we were no 68 OKC, but we were something. We had something on both sides as well. We had vets, we had younger guys. It was a really good makeup, a really good team. We found something. We've done that again, it feels like. And so for me, I don't see us losing in round one to a team like the Grizzlies, or excuse me, like the T-Wolves, but anything can happen, and Anthony Edwards can come out and give you some games. So time will tell, but I think we're both pretty sure there'll be a 6-game series in favor of the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, Nuggets Clippers is a very interesting series. One thing I want to give James Harden some credit, because he came out and said like he was going to be that guy for the Clippers. He was going to help make that system, and honestly, he has. I think I laughed at it. I don't know if it was on the show or just in private, but I definitely did it in private. And he definitely lived up to that. And he has helped them be a team that made it to where they are. So shout out to James Harden. There's flashes of Rockets James Harden, and he's not like a player that's like out of the, too old and doesn't. He puts up 20 plus, but there when he was putting 35 plus up consistently and doing things that no one could stop. You see that still. You see that now. And I don't think we've seen that. I don't remember seeing that in his last few teams. He seems the most free and just the most ready to play on this team. So shout out to James Harden, because I do think on this show at some point I was clowning on the Clippers for taking him, and just I didn't think it would work. So, but let's be honest. The Clippers have been a first or second round team consistently. Name the last time you saw them in the Western Conference Finals.
2020? Wasn't 2020? Didn't they make it to the West? No, they made it to West. No, they lost to the Rockets.
Yeah, they lost. Yep, because it was Lakers Nuggets.
Yeah, and then Rockets.
But you know what? Instead of just asking that question, I'm gonna look it up.
Was it? No, what was it? I don't know. No, they didn't make it to the conference final, so it was definitely the.
We're looking this up live and on air. Okay, 2021. So still, the Lakers made it more recently. Let's just mention that. But no, not that matters. But the Clippers have not made it past the first or second round since then, I believe. And they've had some pretty weak show up in the playoffs. So for me, yes, the Nuggets, we talked about this last show, are in a weird spot, and in a spot where they're not going to have much success. But give me Nuggets winning in 6 or 7 games. I still think the Nuggets pull it off. I think that Joker has a legendary showing, and I think they show up, and I think they win in 6 or 7. But on the flip side, I could give it to the Clippers. I think it's a coin toss, but I'm going with Nuggets. I think they're the team that comes out on top, but I think they're going to end their success in the second round. Their playoff success ends in the second round for me. So what are your thoughts on Nuggets Clippers? Do you think it goes in one direction, or do you think it's a toss-up?
I think that's too close to call. But if I'm going to give a nudge, I'll probably give it to the Clippers, just because of what they did in these last few games. They were electric in these last few games, so I'm going to give it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to give it. Yeah, I'm think I'm going to give it to the Clippers. I think the Clippers have the way they have played this final games, the momentum they've had from these final games, I think will carry them through and just edge out the Nuggets. Like Nuggets will give it a go, but the Clippers will definitely come out on top. Definitely.
No, that's a good call. I like your call on their momentum. I think we do have to touch on that, because they have had it. Just like several other teams, they've been a team with momentum. Moving on to the East, Cavs, Hawks. I think it's Hawks in 6 or 7. Again, I can see the Cavs winning it, but I don't think they win it in 4 or 5. I think it's the Hawks give them a series. But the Cavs could come in and surprise not really surprise everyone, because maybe people are expecting them to come in and just make a statement and win round one effortlessly. But I don't see that happening. I see them getting beat, or at least having a series that uses all of what they have, so they're out the next round. So give me Hawks in 6 or 7, but I can also see Cavs on the other side. What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, I said it could be a shocker. It could literally be a shocker. I mean, I have the Magic going. So with that being said, I do have the Cavs going in past. I don't think. I think the days of the Cavs being mediocre are done with. Um, so give me the Cavs. I don't know how easy it is, but yeah, give me the Cavs.
That's totally fair. Magic Celtics is what I have for the other round one for the lower seed, and I have Celtics in 4, and I think it's Celtics in 4 no matter who they play. Let's say the Hawks play them. This is the difference between the Celtics and the Cavs for me. I think the Celtics handle anyone in 4 or 5. I'll give them a 5. Let me give them the benefit of the doubt and say 5. But Celtics handle business. I think Celtics handle business up until the conference finals, if not the finals. That's just my opinion with how they finished their season and also just who they are. So give me Celtics in 4 or 5 against a Magic or a Hawks. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Celtics are doing again, they are under the radar. They feel disrespected. They feel like no one's taking them seriously. So they might even make it to the NBA finals again. Who knows? Only
Maybe.
time to tell. But yeah, you expect them to stand on business. Yes. There might be some things going on with Jalen Brown and all that good stuff. But they will still stand on business. I don't think again, I mean against what? Hawks, Magic, whoever it is, whoever of them two you give them, they'll take your business. 5 games list. 5 games list. Sorry, most. That's the right English. 5 game most, yes.
I think I can see that for sure. Knicks Pistons. Ooh, Pistons in 6. Pistons in 6. We talked about
Wait, sorry,
possibly
wait, what? What? Wait,
Pistons
what?
in 6. Yeah. Upset alert. Did someone say upset alert? I don't know if it's even an upset because the Pistons have motion. The Pistons have played a brand of basketball that we have not seen the Pistons play for almost 20 years. I'm going to say it right now. Now it's not the same team with physicality and the same exact type of team, but the success and the spark in Detroit has not been there in about 20, if not exactly 20-ish years. So for me, Detroit beats the Pistons, or excuse me, Detroit beats the Knicks in 6 games. And is it going to be a series that I could stand on right now and bet everything I own on the Pistons? Absolutely not. But the Knicks are dead in the water every single postseason in the 2000s. Every postseason in the 2000s. There's been no postseason in the 2000s where even if they've gone far, that they've looked like they've actually had a chance. Their last time being a team that looked like they actually had a chance postseason was the 90s. They've not had a team that's really had that motion in the postseason. So that's why I'm where I'm at. It's not because I'm like the Pistons are the greatest team of all time. I mean, the Pistons are a team in my eyes that like I didn't expect it, and you called it first when we did our point guard list, episode 1 or 2 of our season. When we came back, Cade Cunningham wasn't on my list, and you called it out how he has been putting up numbers that have been leading that Pistons team to success. Because I think I made a point about how SGA had been doing that. So that point is exactly. I mean, you made it way back in like February, and they've been that team since. They've been a team that's been consistent, reliable. Have they dropped some games? Of course they have. But give me the Pistons. Give me the Pistons in 6. And you heard it here first. Not 5, not 7, 6. What do you think, David? Do you think
I
thoughts?
think it's a possibility. I think what Indiana did to the Knicks last season, I think that's also a possibility. But no, I still have Knicks. I have Knicks in 6. But I won't be shocked. I'll be completely just be like, yeah, it's the Knicks. If the Pistons do get stand on business, I won't be surprised. But give me the Knicks in 6. I'm not trying
You
to
never know.
disrespect. Yeah, exactly. You never know. Anything is possible. But again, give me the Knicks in 6.
I think it's possible. Anything is definitely possible. Moving on, Bucks Pacers. Bucks in 7. Bucks in 7. Lillard's not going to be in. They're
Yeah.
not going to be full health, but I think Giannis is going to go off, and I think the Pacers, they did maintain a certain level of standing success and standing stature that I didn't think they were going to be able to keep it up, and they did. But I don't think they're going to have a deep postseason run. They've had a couple in the last 10 years, but I don't think, or just last 15 years, if you want to say, but I don't think that's this season. I think the Bucks have a good first round. I think Giannis goes on a little bit of a tear. And I think we see Lillard. He's not going to be back for, I think, any of round 1. I wouldn't predict, but it sounds like there's a good possibility he would be back for the upcoming rounds. And I think that would be, again, I don't know how he would perform coming back from that. That's a pretty serious situation. And maybe they end up just keeping him out, but it sounds like there's a chance he comes out. And I think the Bucks could be a team to watch for going on a semi-deep run in the Eastern Conference playoffs. I don't think they're going to go all the way to the finals, but I think they'll go to round 2 and they'll make round 2 a series and maybe make it past round 2. So give me the Bucks in 7. What are your thoughts? I can tell you agree.
There's only one right answer for this, and that's the Pacers in 5. That is the Pacers in 5. I'm not even saying what. I don't even have to give my reason as to why it's the Pacers in 5. Like, I don't have to say anything. It's just we just know it's the Pacers. Well, obviously, Pacers are the better team. Bucks are kind of sketchy. I think Bucks are sketchy. Bucks. Bucks. I look at the Bucks and the Knicks and I'm like, kind of sketchy sometimes. So will I be surprised if Bucks win? Not really, but I have the Pacers winning in 5. I'm not going to say too much. I'm like, come on,
fair.
What we do? The Pacers are. Sometimes they might be switching in the brain, but they're still definitely better than Bucks, even with Lillard.
Okay, well, you know what? When I said it, when it looked like it was Knicks versus Bucks, I said Nick, or I said Bucks. You said, and you're saying the same thing now. So we will see. But give me Bucks semi-deep run. You heard it here first. Moving on away from postseason, we're going to talk about the teams that did not make postseason. We're not going to go into all of the teams, but we're going to talk about if there's any teams that we think will make changes, and we're not going to go into too much detail. But if we just think any teams in the East or West will make a push and be a little more successful next season, I'm going to start and say in the East, I don't think there's that many teams that are going to. I think there's a lot of teams that
What of your Sixers?
Sixers? I think the Sixers, I don't think, I'm going to be honest, I would not be surprised if we've seen Joel Embiid play his last game as a Sixer. I think there's a small chance that is not true, but I think because of everything at this point, I think they're going to move on from him. I think they're going to move on from him and try to move on from the process, because it's not worked. And at this point, I don't know. I think you move on from you prioritize keeping Maxey. You don't prioritize keeping Paul George, but if it makes sense, you keep him and you build a team around them and you see what you can do. But for me, I think the only team in the East that's going to make some motion and some moves is the Hornets. And I'm going to say why. The Hornets sneakily have a very successful, or at least very talented young core. And within this, we have seen young cores have seasons where they have been just below or exponentially below making the postseason. And then the next season, something gels, whether it's a new coach, some sort of new leadership, or something just gels. Or you have pieces you could trade. You have some players and some pieces you could move around and some room to maybe add some pieces. So for me, I think the Hornets are a play-in team next year. Is that really successful? Is that like the most success we've ever seen? Of course not. But it's more successful than what they have seen. And for me, that's the only team in the East that I think is going to have motion for sure. Looking at the West, Spurs, I mean, obviously Wemby, in my personal opinion, was that defensive player of the year. Like, there was no one else even close before he went out with injury. And then obviously they got Fox, and then he went out too around the same time. So that experiment of those two together has not really started yet and been able to happen. And I think that the Spurs will be a play-in team next season. I think they would have been a play-in team if there's a universe where Wemby and Fox are in. That's a play-in team. That's a play-in team that is eliminating one of the 9 or 10 teams. 100%, in my personal opinion, that's a team that would have had a little more success. So shout out to the Spurs, and then the Suns. And I mean, this sounds like a really crazy take after saying they were my ugly. The reason I say this is I do think they figure something out. I do think they go in the right direction. And I think that starts with Kevin Durant. Here's what I'm going to say about Kevin Durant. To give him credit, he did have some deep postseason success post Warriors, and that was that push where they almost made it to the finals, where they were almost that team when it was Bucks versus Suns. And I'm going to be honest, you put the Nets in that series, and I think the Nets maybe win it against the Suns. I think the Suns lose it no matter what to the East that season. So we're maybe looking at a championship, another championship for KD that was fueled very heavily by him. Since then, there's been nothing. A couple of early postseason exits, and that's it. And a lot of injuries and a lot of drama and a lot of this and that. I think they get out from under that, and then I think the Suns make a really, really, really nice push and build a team around Booker that is just a play-in team. All three of these teams I mentioned are just play-in teams, but what are they now? Nothing. I mean, they're done. So those are my takes for teams that I think have a little bit of success. Do you agree with any of those or have any of your own, or do you think that all of these teams have a long rebuild ahead?
I think to add to the West, I think it would be between Phoenix, San Antonio, and the Trailblazers. I think those three guys, one of them to complete the,
Like that
the
one.
West. I think you have to add Trailblazers. I think they'll build up some steam in this their rebuilding phase. You know what I mean? But for the East, no, I mean other than the Sixers, Sixers the only team I can think about. Other than them, no, they're just really. I don't even Charlotte annoys me because they have been in rebuilding for like I don't even know. Like they've just been rebuilding, and Washington just been rebuilding and rebuilding. I'm like, cool.
Constant cycle, bro. They just can't get out from under it. So, dude, shout out to the Blazers. That's a really good pick. You always seem to have the few ones or the one that I do not seem to have on my list that is a really, really good pick. And the Blazers is the perfect example of that. So, I mean, shout out to these teams. I want to see these teams be successful. I want to see a little more variety. I mean, we've already seen so much shakeup and so much variety, but time will tell. Moving on, we have 2 more segments left before we end our show. And one of them is our final MVP cover of the season. I think it'll be short and sweet, but we're going to do it anyway and look at if we think it goes in the other direction, if it will be a robbery or what our thoughts are. So first of all, I was Team Joker. If you tuned into the first few episodes of the show, which I think we started January or something like that, right before around All-Star break, but a few weeks before All-Star break. And I was Team Joker. I think first episode we did an MVP race. I was Team Joker because obviously triple-double average, and he did finish with that. But at that point in the season, the OKC Thunder were on a roll. But I guess in my opinion, like I've said several times before on this show and even just today, I think teams will run out of steam. And I think at that point, even though they had a lead, I wasn't quite sure what was in store for that team with health and with everything. And so team success to me is a big part of MVP. And 16 games ahead of number 2, who else? No one else obviously has that. So it's SGA. It's SGA, scoring champion, one of the best guards, if not the best guard on both sides of the ball, looking at it now at the end of the season. And so, yes, Joker averaged a triple-double. Other players have done that and not won MVP. I'm not trying to say that is that as a point, but I'm just making that as, I mean, I think Russell Westbrook has done that 4 times and only won MVP 1 of the times or 2 of the times possibly. So it's not really an award that guarantees you an MVP. I think a lot of times actually they look at the scoring and look at James Harden, look at the players that have won it and the history of it. It's definitely an offensive focused award. And, but at the same time, when you are a complete player that has offense and defense, I think you also have an edge at the same time. And Joker, to me, does not have defense. I don't think Joker is a very defensively efficient player, even if he has some games where he contributes. So for all these reasons, give me SGA. But if Joker wins it, it won't be a robbery. We've seen robberies before. It wouldn't be a robbery because he's averaged a pretty high number triple-double, and he is definitely, despite all the BS in Denver that has transpired from start to finish, he has been a bright spot and will be a bright spot as long as he's there. So give me SGA, but if Joker wins it, it's not a highway robbery. What are your thoughts on this? Are you still going SGA?
Yeah, definitely.
SGA all day?
I'm still on the SGA Express. Cuckoo.
Oh, you've been the conductor since the beginning of the season.
I bought my tickets bought some stocks in it, about to yield
The
some
whole 9
good.
yards, bro. All
Exactly. You get the vibe. Yeah, but no, I think as you said it best. If SG, I don't okay, I don't even say you said it best because I think that is still kind of foul. If SG doesn't win it and they give it to you, okay, I still think it's robbery because from start of the season till the end, SG has been undoubtedly been the MVP. Like no one had doubts. Like let's forget all the NBA rankings and all that other stuff. If you had doubts, even you all your doubts, let's forget all that. From start to finish, no one has been as consistent and been reliable as Shea Gilgeous Alexander. He's been words can't express. So yeah, I do think if he doesn't win it, then people are smoking some weed. I stand on that. We move on.
And maybe they are. You never know. Moving on. That will be our final. That will be our final MVP calling of the season. Obviously, we'll talk about it when it's called, and if it goes to Joker, we'll talk about it because we'll have very different opinions. Because again, I would be like, okay, I would have given it to SGA, but I would not say it's a robbery. But it sounds like you are the other way around, and I can see what you're saying because it's like most consistent. And that is probably the best point to make. And consistency should win you the MVP. And it does seem to. And team success does seem to play at least a small part. Moving on, which, I mean, come on. Who has had more team success? Like I already said, there's been no one. Moving on, we're going to do our top 5. We did not do one last show. We're doing one this show. Top 5 8 seeds in NBA history. There have been many 8 seeds that have been bounced in 4 or 5 games. These are the teams that have not. Starting at number 5, I've got the 2012 76ers that made it to the semis against the Celtics and then got bounced in Game 7. No one thought they were going to go that far. That team was exciting. I think NBA history does not get changed. If they go against the Heat, they get bounced. So it's not like it's going to change the outcome of NBA history with a championship. But that was a team that no one thought was going to make it even past the first round, I think. So give me the number or the 2012 76ers as my number 5. Who do you got as your number 5?
Yeah, I agree with you. I also think that if Derrick Rose didn't tear his ACL that year, they probably would have made it, to be honest. But
Fair.
They did. They took the Bulls to 4 to 6 games. One was no, not 6 games, but yeah, Sixers 2012. I don't really remember too much on that, but yeah.
Definitely no. They were a good team to watch and they were exciting. Moving on, we have the 1994 for my number 4, the 1994 Nuggets led by Mutombo. Honestly, before now, of course, we had the Carmelo Anthony and AI, if anyone remembers AI on the Nuggets. We had those teams that had some postseason runs, but the Nuggets that were remembered most and thought of most before Joker and before they won the championship were definitely in the 90s with Mutombo and with these teams. And this was a team that beat the number 1 seed Sonics in round 1. The Nuggets, this was a Sonics team that many people thought were going to go all the way and possibly win a championship. And the Nuggets put a stop to that. And that was a really exciting series. So that had to be my number 4 team. I don't even know if I've ever put the Nuggets on a list before on this show, possibly. So it's good to give them a little shout out. So yeah, 1994 Denver Nuggets as my number 4. Who do we got?
2007 Warriors.
Ooh, okay.
2007, the Warriors led by Baron Davis. We all know BA. We all know that's the whole squad. When you hear, you hear podcasts and you hear stories, you're like, wow, all these people, that's crazy. But yeah, those guys bounced the Mavs. Obviously, the Mavs who were 62 games, sorry, 67 regular season games, close to OKC. Remember the OKC that year? So obviously, I don't think they made it. I can't remember them making it to the NBA Finals 2007. That was still Kobe. That was Lakers. They got bounced by Lakers. But yeah, in 6 games they took them out in 6 games. All with 3 of those games coming in double digits. 3 or 2 of them, sometimes 4 of those games coming in double digits, whatever like that. Um, 3 of those games coming in double digits. So yeah, shout out to 2007 Warriors. I think that's kind of where everything not started, but those guys kind of start building the mentality and things like that. So yeah,
Definitely no. That was a good shout out. Which, I mean, that's my number three. Moving on to number three, I've got the 2007 We Believe Warriors. You said it best. I definitely think that they were a team that was exciting and kind of started that winning. I mean, there was a '90s team for the Warriors that was well known with Mullen and just had and had a lot of success as well. But that had been so many years, and this was the first team since then, and this definitely kick-started that culture and kick-started the Warriors to who they were. Without the We Believe team, I don't think they would have been. They would be who they are now. Not even would have been. They're still. I think they wouldn't be who they are now. So good call, and that's definitely my number three. Who do you've got in your number three spot? I'm interested to know because I was wondering who would be where.
Memphis 2011. Z- Zach Zach Randolph, Mike Conley, Marc Gasol. When they took out 8 seed, took out top seeded Spurs. That's still the Spurs with, if I remember correctly, that's still the Spurs with those guys. 20, I forget their name. Why am I forgetting their name? Anyways, you guys know who I'm talking about in Spurs. We all know what the Spurs were at that time. But yeah, and then yeah, obviously, and they lost to the OKC Thunder. Obviously, we all know who the OKC Thunder had that year. Young guns of Westbrook and Durant and and Harden. So it was a good run for them, but taking out the top seed, and that's Atlanta coming for that. Atlanta coming for that. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
for real.
We'll see.
Nope, that's a good pick. I mean, you're making my job easy because that's my number two. 2011 Grizzlies beating a Spurs team because I mean the culture that the Spurs had at that point was they were that team. We've talked about teams that dominate, but they really dominated like 20 years off and on. So shout out to that Grizzlies team for being gritty, being tough, and kind of honestly being the only Grizzlies team that's really had playoff life, like real playoff life. I mean, there's been other teams, but that's been the team really. So, who do you got at number two?
Remember when Reggie Miller went to the Garden and what has made him the villain of the Garden? 1999 New York Knicks, Jeff Van Gundy. Obviously, we all know, if you watch TNT, you know who Jeff Van Gundy is. Brother to Stan Van Gundy. I don't know if who's the coach and who's the analyst, but we all know that New York team that took out, they took out number one Miami in 7, and then they took out Atlanta in 4, swept them, only to be stopped by obviously Reggie Miller and his dark arts. Um, so I think that was an amazing run. Obviously, there's only one team that can beat that run. So shout out to 1990. And I think if not for Patrick Ewing getting injured, they might just have. They might, who knows? Who knows? It's all ifs, maybes, buts, but who knows?
No, that is true. That was an honorable mention on my list. I did not quite make it. Moving on, we got our number one.
They went to the conference
2023
final.
2023 Heat because they went to the NBA Finals. They lost. We know that they didn't really have a
Yes,
chance.
yes,
I got to
yes.
put the Heat though because
No, yeah, yeah. Number one Heat, yeah.
they but the reason that the Knicks are left off of my list is because the Sonic or not the Sonics. The Nuggets made my list and that bumped them on. When I first made my list, I had the Knicks on it and then bumped them off because I couldn't leave this Heat team off because like I said, they made it all of the the finals all the way there. They made
No,
it
they are the
and
best 8 seed ever. Like, no, what I mean. Oh wait, are we doing number one or number two? Because the
number one.
Knicks team, the Knicks team was my number two.
Yeah, no, number one.
Okay, so yeah, we have the same number one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Knicks would have been my number 4 in place of that
Mhm.
Nuggets team. So that was my original list, and then I was like, gotta throw the Nuggets on there. But no, yeah, I think this is the best number 8 seed all time, just because they made it the farthest, and so you can't not give them that credit. And also, just that team was pretty exciting to watch, and I honestly thought because I didn't take the Nuggets I just thought that the Heat might have a chance. Obviously, they didn't. I mean, they had a little bit of life, but it wasn't obviously anywhere near enough. But yeah, I definitely yeah, it's the best number 1 team. But it's hard because there have been some exciting 8 seeds, for sure. But yeah, you got the same number 1 you said possibly, or
I
you
do.
think there's
I
a better
mean,
one?
we'll remember what happened. It was literally 2 years ago. They literally went on and obviously took Celtics to the wire. Literally, like we all saw what they did. No one really expected it, but we saw the full effect of playoff Jimmy, full effect
Yeah,
of it. So like
100%.
who can forget that? We saw what I'm amazed. I mean, obviously we all knew exposure was amazing, but like we saw what. Come on.
It was
And
unforgettable. That was a run.
And let's be frank, some of us were rooting for them to win it, but it is what it is. So
For real. I do. Yeah. Us Lakers fan, and just I mean, just because I didn't want them to beat us when we were in the bubble, but they did have an exciting team, and because Jimmy Butler played so hard and took that team so far multiple times when he was on the Heat, very much fueled by him. It's just you wanted them to get one, and they definitely did not. So Jimmy may end up getting one. I don't think he will. I really don't. But anything is possible. And obviously, that Warriors team will probably try to run it back, and maybe with a full season, they'll be even more successful. So that takes us to the end of another show. Thank you guys so much. And any top fives you want to see, let us know. Any segments, anything at all, just let us know. You can always hit us up in the comments live or after the show when we're off air. You can just leave a comment whenever. But this is not the only place you can find David and I. David, where can our viewers find you when it comes to podcasts and YouTube and other platforms?
oh yes, listen to Man Football Fans podcast on all podcast platforms. Again, episode dropping every day. Sorry, not every day, every week. My bad. I'm sorry, guys. Every week. So check us out there. We love you all so much. We talk all things Premier League football. So thank you so much.
Give them a watch or a listen 100%. And give them a sub as well to their channel. And moving on to what we're doing, or what I'm doing with another co-host on this same channel, is the College Football Junkie. We also have a channel that is separate, but we've really been just posting to this one now because it's the most established channel between the two. And so we are going to talk spring ball, and we're going to talk some predictions. We've not came to a conclusion on when yet, but within the next few weeks, we'll try to get back up on Friday or Saturday, probably evenings, but maybe mornings. So make sure to tune in if you're a college football fan. But that takes us to the end of another show. When we are back, the playoffs will have fully begun. So we will be in the midst of talking full swing playoff basketball, and I cannot wait. So we will talk to you guys again next time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. It's been a great show. We love talking NBA with and for you guys.